What up, Posse? This is Brandon, and I'm here with Papa Bear Paul, Danny, and Johnny. They make up the Card Foundation podcast. I can't talk tonight.
What's going on?
How's it going?
What's going on?
What's up? What's up?
So Johnny, and Danny are brothers, right?
Yep. Shoot brothers.
And then, have you guys always been like, which one's the older, Johnny?
I am Johnny. Yep.
Okay, so did you kind of get Danny into collecting, or did somehow the younger brother get the older brother into collecting?
So, actually, Danny was the one to get me into wrestling, but I think we kind of fell into collecting at the same time. I'm 4 years older than Danny, so when I started really getting into collecting, I would say I was probably like 10 or 11. So Danny was like 6 or 7, and he was right there with me, buying packs of cards, buying memorabilia. He was into it at a super young age. But actually, Danny was the one who got me into wrestling.
Oh, nice. So, Danny, were you like a Hulkamaniac or Ultimate Warrior?
I was neither. So I grew up in the Attitude Era as
okay.
Hulk
So
Hogan
we're the same age. Okay.
And Warrior in WCW. So my start in wrestling, I was kind of a tweener. I was back and forth between WWF and WCW. I love both. Hulk Hogan in the New World Order, that was my guy, and then with the WWF, that was The Rock. So I was obsessed as a kid, and still ended up being obsessed today.
Yeah, exactly, man. We're the same age. So you're like getting in trouble at school for saying "suck it" or like, wearing your Austin 316 shirt.
Yep.
Papa Bear probably knows a thing or two about that.
I was legit wearing my Austin 316 shirt today.
Is it an original? Or
no, somebody asked me that today too. I was like, "Nah, man, not original. It's reprint, brother."
Got it from the shop.
But, yep. I consider myself a good brother to Danny and Johnny, not a real brother.
Yeah,
kayfabe brother. All right.
Yeah. Kayfabe brother, but a good brother.
Yeah.
A Kane and Undertaker.
Brother.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, Paul, what kind of got you into collecting? Are you mainly cards, or did you like collect figures back in the day?
No, I was mainly cards. Yeah, my dad got me into collecting. He had a few cards when he was a kid, and then he started taking me to card shows, started taking me and Brian to card shows, and then started ripping packs and opening it, and that's who mainly got me into collecting. I never really collected figures. If I needed to see any figures, I'd go to Brian's room, which would be a museum. Brian Myers from the Major, you probably know from the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast. And I kind of felt like looking at his collection, if I collected wrestling figures, it would never live up to his collection. So why would I even collect them? Like, it'd just be a piss poor version of this guy's stuff. So
it's his runoff.
Mainly stuck to cards. It's more fun.
So were you mainly like I know you're a big baseball fan. So is that the sport that you started with collecting, or was it like basketball or hockey?
No, I was mainly baseball. And the only other cards I had as a kid, I remember is the 91 Classic, the blue border, the wrestling cards. I remember that being in the book. And then some very few hockey cards my dad would get, like Pierre Turgeon or something. He's a big Islander guy. So that's really, but mainly it was baseball.
Okay. So Danny and Johnny, have you guys always been collecting? Like, you guys have been collecting memorabilia and figures and stuff, but have you guys just newer card collectors, or have you guys been like Paul, like a lifelong collector?
Yeah,
definitely.
We were lifelong from the start. It's kind of similar to Paul. Our father was always a big sports fan, and we're from New York, so a big New York Giants football fan and a big New York Mets baseball fan. I see the flag in your background.
See the flag.
But he was always someone that would go to hobby shows, look to buy memorabilia or cards, and that kind of trickled down to us. I mean, he got us into it at such a young age. We were kind of like little animals running around, the flea market or whatever we could kind of find at malls. So it's kind of been instilled in us from day one.
Yeah, I remember definitely in terms of wrestling, it started with those WrestleMania 14 photo cards. I remember they were a little bit bigger than a trading card, but I remember ripping packs of that, and of course the Cardinal game, which is not technically considered a trading card per se, but I remember having that game as a kid and playing with all the cards and stuff like that. And then basketball and baseball were really like the first, I would say, trading cards that Danny and I really got into, really collecting and going after guys that we liked and going to different shows and collecting different people. and it hasn't really stopped since I'd say I was about 10 to 12 years old, and Danny was a little younger. So we've been collecting for the better part of our lives.
Nice. So what kind of made you guys want to create the Card Foundation? Like, who was the one who came up with the idea initially?
Depends who you ask.
Okay. 3 different stories. All right.
No. We give Papa Bear the credit, so Papa Bear could shoot away on that.
Yep. Johnny, you could say it as well too.
Yeah, all right. It was your idea.
It was my idea, but it was birthed on their Caught Looking Baseball Card podcast where they were talking about card collectibles. And then it had me thinking that nobody's really talking about wrestling cards really that much. There's not a podcast about wrestling cards. And I was at that point, I still am knee deep in wrestling cards, and kind of spawned this podcast, which is kind of a niche within a niche, and taking off.
Yeah, it seems like you guys are getting like a cult following. It's like slowly building up. And it's like, because the more that people get in the cards, like there's only so many people that can get in the baseball cards and basketball cards and hockey. Like eventually it's going to be like people are going to start moving towards wrestling cards. Like I feel like that's already started to happen, but do you think it's going to get even bigger with like the baseball, basketball, hockey fans that can't get those cards moving to like getting like a booster pack of like, Chrome, because that's what's, sitting on the shelves?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, especially when a company like AEW eventually puts out their first set. AEW is arguably one of the hotter promotions out right now, and once they get their cards to compete with the WWE cards, I mean, I see this skyrocketing even further. Every day we're finding new cards that are breaking records, and today's talk was about the Chris Jericho CMLL card that Darren Ravella posted about, and so now that was in the mainstream media and everyone's talking about that. You got Chris Jericho talking about it. So I think as these things continue to happen, you're going to see more and more people getting into the hobby, getting into the wrestling card hobby, and it's really an untapped hobby. I mean, we talk about it every week. There's so much potential with these cards that I just think people are eventually going to get right on the wagon.
I was talking to Danny today. We constantly are talking wrestling cards, and I called Danny today, and I was just talking how Mike Trout, an autographed card of Mike Trout, who's the best baseball player in the game right now, is like any autographed card I'd say is like $800 to $1,000. I'd say any one of his autographs. But you get Roman Reigns, who's arguably the best wrestler in professional wrestling right now. You could get his autograph for $50. So
yeah,
there's a lot of room for growth.
The
Mike Trout's not going to go that much higher than 800. He could go to 1,000, but I feel like there's so much more room and growth in wrestling cards right now, and it's more people talking about. Like you said, the more and more it's going to grow.
Okay, nice. That's definitely a tip. Everybody watching, get in the wrestling cards, so then I can resell mine for a lot higher than I bought.
Well, it's kind of funny to piggyback kind of what they said, is that wrestling collectors are so fanatical about what they collect. So you got die-hard action figure collectors. You got T-shirt collectors. You got all different collectors within the hobby of wrestling, but wrestling cards seems to lag behind in a sense. So I think that there's going to be a boom where it's going to keep trickling and trickling. I mean, we see it now with kind of what Johnny said, record pricing in vintage wrestling cards. One day these modern cards are also going to become vintage. So if you're not in the game now, in 10 years from now, that Roman Reigns card, when it jumps to $200-$300 or $1,000, you're going to wish you would have got on that in the present time. So that's why I dabble more so into modern collecting. And when opportunities come up for vintage, I try to jump on those too.
Okay, nice. So I kind of want to get your takes on, like, what do you like on custom, like, art cards? Like, not like the Major Wrestling Figure Podcast ones, but like there's a guy named Collier Smith who does a lot of like these, like this George Costanza from the Yankees card.
Yep.
And it's like, do you think those will hold any value, or you think they're more of like art pieces more than trading cards? Like,
that's cool.
Space Jam.
Yeah, that's cool.
I'd probably say that it depends on who's collecting. Like, for me, as an example, I'm very traditionalist in the sense that my collection consists of major manufacturing companies. So when it comes to baseball, I'm collecting Topps and Panini. In football, I'm collecting just Panini because they have the license. And in wrestling, really, I try to stick to what's certified and guaranteed and not really custom made. I think there's definitely a niche for it, and it's very cool, but it's not something that I dive too deep into.
I think if they make it kind of a limited thing where he only produces a certain amount, like 500, it would raise the value. But if they just keep pumping them out, where you could constantly just keep buying them on eBay for $7.99, I think they'll just stay that price. It just, if he depends on making an unlimited run or not.
Yeah, these are all like numbered to 80 to 100. Like,
I think then they definitely have the potential to be a lot of money.
Yeah, I was gonna say I agree with that, because all it takes is for one of those cards to kind of quote unquote go viral or to get popular, and then all of a sudden, say it's like a Sasha Banks card.
Yeah.
Now Sasha Banks is all over. She's on the ESPYs. She's in the Mandalorian, and then people find that card. There's only 80 of them or 100 of them. Now everyone wants it because it's now popular. That's all it takes for something to just take off. So I don't want to say it never will. It may not be like the popular thing now or whatever, but that honestly doesn't matter within the hobby. Every day we're finding new stuff.
Like if Bill Murray posts a picture of that card, if Bill Murray holds that card up and like an Instagram post, everybody's gonna want that card.
Yep.
Yeah, you're gonna give him to sign it, but don't trust him to be like not rip it up and be like no one's gonna believe you. Bill Murray ripped up my Bill Murray card.
Yeah, I heard that story.
But this Costanza, like I saw only one on eBay for like 300, and then the rest of the ones I looked up were kind of like I think $30 to $60, depending on.
I guess it would really also matter with the artist's reputation. I mean, if I make cards tomorrow, who's to say they're going to be valuable? But you get like a street artist, or kind of what you're seeing with Project 2020 from Topps. They start getting legit artists, manufacturing their own cards and drawing and designing and painting. That's where that could start to take off, and it's almost treated like art.
Okay.
And that's really what the Topps Living Set's doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're basically all drawings or art pieces of these athletes or wrestlers, and they're obviously selling. They sell directly from Topps and on the secondary market. So, depends on the artist, like Danny said, but it also depends on the popularity of the card.
Did you guys get any of the Mr. America set with the Luger, like USA Luger?
Yes, we did. I did at least.
Yeah, I got a Hogan.
I don't know if I bought 5 or 10. I either bought 5 or 10, so it'll be a surprise when it pops.
Nice. I can never like talk myself into buying them because I'm waiting for like an Austin, or like I'm such a old school Cinemark, like an old school like SmackDown, like Thugonomics, like to see if they could do that in that living set. Like, hey, let's do some throwbacks, because they did, USA Luger and Mr. America. So.
Oh, they will.
Yeah.
Austin was the first one. You might have missed it.
Was it? Oh man. Like I didn't learn about that until like last WrestleMania. Like, what are these living sets? Like I was in the card game in like when I was a little kid, and then I haven't collected until the Patreon group.
Wrestling. What did it just start, Danny? It started what? The wrestling living card set's probably a few months old.
We're probably halfway through a year, because we're up to release, I want to say 35 or 36, and there's 2 releases a week. So.
Okay.
Yeah, actually, so we're about 18 weeks in. Call it 4 or 5 months ago.
Okay. Yeah, because I didn't see it until the WrestleMania set with, I think it was Bianca was one of them.
Okay. Bianca Belair.
I think Sasha.
And Sasha.
And then I saw like they had the ring pieces for sale of like out of 500 and then out of like 50, I think.
Okay, so those are the Topps Now. So what basically Topps Now is, for any new collectors out there, Topps will run a print run of a specific moment that might happen within WWE or other sports. So for WrestleMania, they'll put a card out and they'll give you, say, 48 hours to buy the card. If you don't buy the card in that time span, it's gone. Whatever is printed is printed. You can't get it anymore.
Oh, damn.
So
potential would be really rare.
Yep. So basically, the living set and the Topps Now are online exclusives. That's the kind of beauty of collecting, though. If you miss out on it, you got to go to the secondary market where the prices could be elevated. If you jump on it, you could reap the benefits of that. So it's a nice little, question where, hey, do I really have to buy this, or can I kind of pass on this and, get it on the secondary market later?
Yeah, damn. Now I'm going to have to look for that Austin.
It's still pretty affordable.
It's not crazy.
$5 to $10. You could get that card for like $10. Yeah.
Okay. So also now I kind of want to move into just general like tips and stuff. Like if I put this Zack Ryder like out of 99, the
Nice.
green shocking wins,
Yep.
does the placement of the sticker like being off, would that affect it, or the fact that the signature looks straight would help me get like a higher grade?
That's a weird one.
Yeah.
That's a weird
It's
because
just like,
they're all kind of crooked
yeah.
because the riders are autographs weird. So I don't think they would take off points for that. But those tops cards, I know have a lot of surface scratches you'd have to worry about, and
Mm.
that's the biggest issue. Those tops chrome cards, like scratches on the surface.
Yeah, I think a big thing is also who you grade with. You know, when you grade with a company, say like PSA, you have the option to not have the autograph even graded. So really, they're just judging the card. So really, they're going to judge
Okay.
the corners, the edges, the centering of the card, and then the surface of the card. Those are the 4 key points. A company like Beckett Grading Services, though, that does grade autographs, you know, they might take that into consideration and maybe give you a point or two off based on how clean the auto is and the sticker location.
Okay. I kind of want to ask you guys about these, like like they're not exactly rookie cards, but they're like future star cards of like people that you know are big on the indies now or like
Mm-hmm.
became big. Do you think these are worth investing in? Like depending on the wrestler.
Johnny's
do.
going to give you the great answer on that one.
Johnny,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I love cards like that. You know, for either whether it's a first or a second year card. Everyone is really focused on the rookie card, but
Mm.
I think those cards are just as important because down the line, when the rookie cards of certain people, like say an Alexa Bliss or a Sasha Banks or Charlotte or someone, are too expensive or they're unattainable. What's going to happen is people are going to look to the next best thing, which is like say a second year card. So, for instance, someone like Asuka, I know has a popular Future Stars card, and if her rookie card for whatever reason ever, you know, drastically goes up in value, people may say, you know what, I don't really want to spend say $100 on this card, but I like Asuka. I want an early card of hers. I'm gonna go to this Future Stars. And the second reason why I like them is because they're pretty universal within Tops. So Tops Baseball puts out Future Stars for their athletes. Tops Soccer does the same for their athletes. So Future Stars within Tops has become a pretty household name. And that's why I kind of like it, because as a fan of both soccer and baseball and wrestling, it's cool to have all these people that I like, all these different athletes and superstars under like that same banner. So they become extremely collectible.
Yeah, and I would say the proof is essentially in the pudding as well as far as value goes. I mean, Johnny and I kind of talked. We just started really getting into soccer cards. They've taken off. It might be the number one collectible card in all of sports right now, just because soccer is such a global game. I'm not too sure how familiar you are with soccer, but there's a player on the French team named Kylian Mbappe, and he's probably one of the top 3 or 4 most popular soccer players in the world right now. His Future Stars card, graded in a 10 from PSA, goes for $500-$600. You know, that's a card that you could have got at the time for $5, and you turned it into $500-$600 if you were smart and bought the card and graded it. So really, Future Stars right there. You could go on, eBay, type in sold listings, and you could get a good idea of some values.
Yeah, my knowledge of soccer starts and stops with Freddie Adu.
Okay.
Nice.
Mine doesn't even start there.
We're trying to get
in the
Paul.
LA Galaxy. So what is your grail? Like, what is the one card that you would want to get? Not like raw or graded, doesn't matter. Like, what is your like holy grail for card collecting?
Who wants to start?
Holy grail for card collecting.
I got mine.
I know mine for baseball would be the Mike Trout rookie card PSA 10, but that's like a cop out.
That's expensive. Right?
Oh yeah, that's like $1,000. For you guys go. Let me think for wrestling.
So for wrestling, my holy grail is the 1998 Comic Images The Rock autograph card. So that was
Road Dogg.
That was the first ever Rock card that was signed and pack pulled. So I think
nice.
There's only a matter of time. I mean, the card is crazy expensive as it is, but I think it's kind of slept on between other vintage cards, like some of the 80s cards like Hogan and Macho Man and, some of those guys. But I think The Rock is the biggest star to ever come out of wrestling, just what he's been able to do in Hollywood. And that's very nostalgic for me because I grew up, that was my guy.
Yeah.
I was obsessed with The Rock. I would cry when he lost. Johnny was an Austin fan, so he would have
Yeah,
to brag to me nonstop. And, so that would be the sentimental purchase. And then also the elite purchase of my collection.
Nice. I'm still sad that Rock got the final win in their three best out of three.
He needed one. It had to happen.
I thought Austin was going to sweep him. What's your Johnny?
So, I guess right now, because this always changes for me, and I know it changes for a lot of collectors too. I think right now my grail would be the complete set of the 97 Japanese ECW issued cards. So in 97, in ECW Japanese VHS tapes, there were these collector cards that were put into the tape, and there were a bunch of people around, like Tommy Dreamer, Sabu, Taz, just like basically all the big guys at the time, and they are extremely hard to come by. They're very expensive now, but the cards are just so cool. They are basically like designs like so 90s, and just it's perfect for the ECW brand. I'm a big ECW fan, so I think right now that would be my number one grail. Would have the complete set.
Nice. Graded or raw?
I mean, I'll take raw just because they're very hard to come by, but ultimately, graded, the whole set graded would look amazing on a display.
Yeah.
I think I thought what I wanted. I wanted Brian's undisputed. Was it 2019 out of 5 relic auto?
Yep.
So those.
Oh man.
I am jealous of his PSA 10. He has one in PSA 10, which was like one of the first cards we got graded.
Yeah.
And now I was pumped when I saw that came back at 10 because those cards are hard to grade. But those cards you can't find are definitely awesome.
Those are
extinct. Did they even come like across on like eBay or anything, or even in like the group?
I have the alerts. I know Brian has the alerts. Probably Danny and Johnny. I think we got a lot of guys with a lot of alerts. So if somebody has one, they throw it up there, it probably sold very quickly.
Kurt Hawkins / Brian Myers stuff is so hard to come by on eBay these days.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I feel like it's the same like 5 cards that are just being.
Well, the crazy thing is, it's mostly just like his base cards at this point.
Right.
Like his first Topps card was almost a game card like Top Slam Attacks, and that card was an overseas card that you can't find here anywhere in the States. And then his 2007 Heritage card and the Chrome Heritage, it's like you can't even find those anywhere. And on top of that, you got to hope it's in good condition if you want to grade it. It's become more and more difficult to get his cards.
Okay.
I think Papa Bear these days has become more of a sniper of Brian Myers / Kurt Hawkins.
Big rookie
sniper.
Big rookie sniper of Brian.
Yep.
Big rookie sniper.
What do you guys think of the skull, like the die cut Austin cards?
Papa Bear, give it to him. Oh, hell yeah.
I think those cards are undervalued. I'm a big fan of them. And you could probably get those. I thought those cards should be higher in value. You could get them for like $5-10 now. I definitely think it's a cool card. And I'm a big collector of the one that's Austin 316. I have a lot of those.
The one with him at the King of the Ring?
Yeah, I have out of 5, the red one out of 5, I have 3 out of the 5 red ones.
Man. Yeah. I gotta start setting my alerts.
Listen, it's a cutthroat industry.
I'm trying to get all
like
5. Exactly. Really cool, and I really corner the market.
Yeah, right. Just like I have them all. Like Thanos gets the last Infinity Stone.
Yeah.
But all right. Plug your socials, and then what do we have to look forward to in the next episode of the Card Foundation?
Well, I got to do the social plugging because you two are useless. But we are on Instagram. We are at Card Foundation Pod. We're also on Twitter at CardFoundPod. Our podcast is on all podcasting platforms: Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, anything in between. We just interviewed Brian Myers on our last week's episode, which was an incredible interview. So anyone out there that hasn't listened to it yet, it's 4 good brothers, shooting the shit on cards, and it was a great time. But this upcoming week, we talk a lot about grading. So if you're a new collector and you want to learn a little bit about grading and some of the different companies, it's an excellent episode to kind of dive into. On top of that, we have a preliminary episode of card grading back like episode 3 or 4. So those are the 2 episodes I would say, take a listen. You'll learn a lot. And and we want to make sure that we're protecting new collectors out there because the card craze is just it could be overwhelming. So that's really the mission that us three kind of bring to the table is, we want to help out other collectors out there learn and then also build on their collections.
Okay, kind of like a beginner's guide for card collecting.
Yeah.
So actually, we have an episode that's going to be coming out soon. The three of us have to just sit down and record it. But we're doing basically a Cards 101 episode. So the whole episode is going to be dedicated to basically the beginner's guide to wrestling trading cards, what the products are, who the players are, what to look for, grading, how to store your cards, how to keep your card. Like basically, if someone had never bought a trading card or collected a card before, they'd be able to listen to this episode and get the complete rundown of how to start their collection or how to start their investing. And that episode should be coming out pretty soon. We're gonna again get together and record it. We've been trying for the last couple of weeks, but it's definitely on the horizon. So keep a lookout for that.
Yeah, they also talk about the difference between blaster boxes, hobby boxes, cases, case hits, stuff like that. People, expect different things in different boxes, and we'll let you know what's in that box and what the value is of that box. But definitely excited for that.
Nice. And then like things like just because it's numbered doesn't mean it's 100% like it's automatically valuable.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's kind of
eBay,
like there's so many variables. It depends on the condition of the card. It depends on, who is the card you pulled of. Obviously, a Stone Cold Steve Austin card is going to be more valuable than a Shorty G. Even if that Shorty G is a 1-of-1, that doesn't mean that it's more valuable than maybe a different wrestler. So we would touch base on all those things and break it down as best as we can.
All right. So listen to the Card Foundation, and then when do you guys drop episodes?
So that's every Wednesday night at 11:59 p.m. So really,
All right.
Thursdays, get it ready to go.
And if you're normal, it's just a Thursday.
All right. Thursdays if you're normal, Wednesdays if you're a complete psycho.
Yeah,
Which most of us I think
We
are.
do have our psycho listeners, so
Yeah.
they're on it first thing.
Joey Hudson's gonna be all over that.
And we've also been dropping the last couple episodes. We've been dropping some bonus stuff and some giveaways and everything, and it requires being one of the first people to listen. So we've actually gotten messages at 12:05, 12:10 at night, claiming the prize or claiming the whatever. So we do have the guys out there that do tune in that late. So, if you are listening, we do giveaways and they go really quickly.
Nice. So, all right, listen to them every Thursday, and peace out, guys. Thanks for coming on.
Take it easy.
Appreciate
Rap.
it, Brandon. Thank you.
Thank you.